Welcome to a brand new 20-minute Leicester City podcast. My name is Mark, I'm a neutral, but we create podcasts for all the championship teams, and this is the first one, of course, for Leicester City as we look back at the result at Preston North End. Delighted to be joined by one of the kings of Leicester Twitter, Freddie himself. Welcome, Freddie, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks, and you?
Yeah, we're all good here. So here's how it works. We, of course, are putting to Freddie and different panel members across the next number of weeks your opinions on Twitter and on social media, the very best and the worst of what we can find, and letting them rip on whether or not they agree with them or not. Great to have you on board. Do drop us a quick subscribe. Let's have a look at what's coming up on this week. We've got a number of fans, Freddie, this week that have said some players aren't fit to wear the shirt. Get your view on that in a second. Then, once we've done that, we'll move on to looking at the players that have left Leicester in the summer. Were any a mistake? And finally, the Premier League is back. Getting your opinions as Leicester fans. Do we even care? And have we fallen out of love with the Premier League this season? Great to have you with us. Let's jump straight into it. Freddie, you've been on holiday, so you weren't at Deepdale, but you've watched the game back. First impressions of the performance?
Slow, I think. I don't think we got the ball out quick enough. I think we were very lackluster with our passing and especially our pressing. I don't think, we committed enough men into the press, which meant they just hit us on the break.
Yeah. Physical team, Preston, aren't they, as well as the Heckingbottom sides
Yeah.
always are. Let's have a look at some takes then. So here's what we do. If you're just joining us, and we're grateful to have you on there, we'll look at some of the takes from social media. And so Luke says, all of them, bar Monger, are not fit enough to wear the shirt. MC14, sort them the F out and sign some players. And he wasn't alone on this view either, Freddie, I'm sure you own. Lester Fossey says, it's an absolute disgrace. Their attitude stinks. Look at Daka's reaction when 16-year-old Monger scores. He doesn't give an F. Sell anyone bar Monger and Fatuwu. Sufyan says, clearly can't get the best out of more or less the same team that walked this league 2 years ago. Get results or get out. Right, quite a lot to unpack there. First off, are these people and others right when they talk about the attitude of some players, Freddie, not being where it's at?
I think on the majority, yes. I do think there's more than just Monga that, for example, Fatawu, he is a player that wants to be here. You can tell he always gives 100%. He looks happy when he's on the pitch. The same with El Kanouche, all the recovery runs that he's done that people don't notice. It's like the little things like that that people don't seem to see that show that these players want to be here. But I totally agree with the rest of them. Wout Faes, Patson Daka, Vestergaard, Winks walking down the tunnel, they don't want to be here and they need to go.
Yeah, Winks got it from a number of fans. This one here, Lee says, get Winks out of this club. His attitude stinks. Sign a prolific striker as well. What is this then, Freddie? Is this just hangover from relegation from a set of players who think that they're better than the Championship? Or is this something endemic within the club with obviously all the points deductions coming and all the issues surrounding the ownership? Where is this attitude, rotten as it is, coming from?
I think it's a mix of both. I think obviously getting relegated the first time we did in 2023, and then obviously all the points deductions that didn't end up happening, but the points deductions that were supposed to happen, and the Wout Faes, for example, being the first one to say, I want out of this club. Several other players who left the club didn't run. Maddison, his tweet, all of that, as little as it is, it sets an example to the younger players saying sort of like, if things aren't going our way, we strop and we throw all our toys out the pram and try and blame it on other people. I don't think the ownership have covered themselves in glory. Most Leicester fans will agree in saying that the amount that Kuntop has done for the city, like all the charity work he's done, all the local community events he's done, they really do care for the city and love the city.
Mm.
But in terms of running a football club, it's not been the best. I think we do have to remember that there are clubs in a far worse situation, like Morecambe, like Sheffield Wednesday. But then you see people using that as an excuse. When it's not an excuse, it's just comforting to know that we're not the worst. But it's something needs to change up there. Someone needs to take accountability.
Mm. No one's putting Leicester in their predictions, are they, to win the league or even be in? Well, I've not seen too many put them in the top six. I mean, where do you think you'll finish based on the current squad you've got now?
I think playoffs, if we really get it together. But even then, I think if the players don't try like they have, there's been no effort at all. If they keep showing that lack of commitment, I think we'll struggle to break the top 10
Okay.
because the teams that aren't technically as good or as good on paper, like Preston, they've got a good side, but they're nowhere near on paper what we are.
Yeah.
But the fight they show for each other, the communication, the teamwork, even the way the manager speaks. Like Marti's great, but he's been handed a broken squad, so
Yeah.
nobody can fix that without getting rid of the deadwood first. So I think
Yeah.
we'll struggle if we don't start to pick things up.
Yeah. We run a QPR podcast and have done for the last 2 years, and so you won't hear me criticise Marti on here. So I think he's a really class manager. Fingers crossed, he can sort a little bit of this mess out. Here's a couple more then. Great so far. Joey says it's another example of this squad just not being good enough. The Preston game. What exactly did Daka do in those 45 minutes he was on? AU had 90 minutes and didn't make a difference. Okoli and Vestergaard are not good enough. We need to make signings fast, or we will just become regulars in the Championship. Yeah, some repeated points there, but do you agree with everything Joey's saying there, Freddie, or is he being a bit too reactionary?
I think IU, when he played against Sheffield Wednesday, in all fairness to him, he was probably one of the best players on the pitch. But then by the time you put that into perspective of, they haven't got a full 11 of senior players. They haven't been paid. The club's in a mess. But then as soon as he goes up against a competent championship defender and he wants to drop in deep, the problem is we don't have anyone in that nine that or
Yeah,
wide that can fill that because Bilal wants to float into the pockets as well to try and make space, which is what IU does. So by the time you've got those two marking each other out the game, I don't think the issue just lies with IU. I think it lies with El Canouse. Not as much, but in the way
yeah,
that he doesn't like to try
yeah,
and drive forwards as much.
yeah. I saw that from a number of tweets as well from the weekend. Yeah, great point. Look, it's one game, and we can't write off anyone's seasons on the back of one game. There have been some big head losses, so we won't be too reactionary here. But this is what we do: 20 minutes every single week, looking at the games coming up. And give our opinions on it. In a second, I want you to have a look at, if you don't mind, Freddie, at the outgoings this season, and give us your opinions on whether you've dropped the ball on any. But before we get to those, are there any players you expect still to leave in the next 2 weeks of the window before it closes?
I think El Canouse will, provided that Eze goes to Spurs.
Yeah,
But even then, I think, modern football people like to line up and have their replacements in ready. So I think that we will see El Canouse leave. I think we'd struggle to see Harry Winks leave, but it's possible. But other than that, I can't really see who would want to sign these players. Obviously, AC Milan are linked with Okoli, but he's not top of their shortlist, so that's not very likely. So I think you're going to struggle to see these players leave this summer.
yeah, and you definitely need, as highlighted on Saturday against Preston, players coming in, don't we? Especially that number nine position. Let's have a look then at some of the decisions. Now next week we'll talk more about the what players coming in and so on. But let's run through some of these and the prices. Now these are obviously according to transfermarket.com, so some of these might not be as accurate as we've gone here. But yeah, first of all, goalkeeper Mads to West Ham, 20 million euros, fair price.
I think we probably should have got at least 5 million more, but I think these people saying, 40 million. We're a relegation club. We've just been relegated. We're struggling financially. You've got the cash flow issues at King Power and all the stuff going on with the business. So I think that 20 million, given that we didn't pay that much for him, yes, it's nowhere near as much as we would perhaps like. But I think, given our situation, it's not far off the best we could have hoped for because we just need money as quickly as we can.
Sure. Okay. Now, 2 years ago, Wilfred Ndidi, when he was in this division, tore up the league and was a massive part of getting you to where you were. I expected him. You can tell me more, but I'd have thought perhaps he would have wanted to keep hold of him for that reason. But Besiktas is gone. He's 28 now, so he's in the prime of his career. Was that a strange move for you, or one that had to be made?
It was, but then I think he'd shown signs of perhaps wanting to move on sort of throughout the tail end of last season. His effort
Yeah.
levels dropped and he started strolling about. And I think you, as much as it's not a lot of money, I think we need to just focus on getting rid of players like that. He's been an incredible servant to the club. All
Yeah.
the stuff he's done in the past sort of 10 years has been incredible and we're going to miss him a lot. But the tail end of last season, it's a similar story to Tielemans or Maddison. The tail end of the relegation season, they stop caring. And I think that's when you start to think we need to get rid of these people because we need to profit because we haven't got money, but also we don't want these players around like people like Monga, Evans, Aluko, sort of saying, look, if things aren't going your way, moan about it and it'll all be fine. We want people around them that are going to say, if things go wrong, you need to hold yourself accountable and get on with it and try and make up for it. So I think in the scheme of things, it's not a terrible move. But then again, it would have been nice to see him stay.
Yeah. And then a quick word on Connor Cody. I mean, we'll see him when you play Wrexham, but I mean, he's probably the Championship is his level now, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we'll miss him. I think all the talk of him being a leader and all of that is great, and I'm sure in the dressing room he would have been, but none of it translated onto the pitch. So we saw him when we conceded last season. A lot of the time it was just he threw his hands up in the air and then started walking back, similar to what Wout Fass did. He sort of never really took accountability for it. And I think, again, if you're going to have a leader, you need someone that always holds themselves, but also other people accountable. You need someone that, like Jamie Vardy, would have 100% been that character in the dressing room. Mark Albrighton, they both would have been like, this is not good enough. You need to sort it out. Mm-hmm. So I think getting rid of a player like Cody, especially just making money off him, is a good move. I think it helps balance the books a bit. It isn't a bad move because we've got players at centre back. We probably need to invest in more, but he's quite low down in importance and ability of centre back, so I don't think it's that bad of a move.
Yeah, good shout. Good shouts. A couple of goalkeepers moved on, of course, as well, or one which you met on Saturday. I know our Preston fans were delighted to have Daniel Everson back with them because of what they had before. And Danny Ward, right moves for both of them.
Yeah, I think Everson, when he played, he was never awful, but he never really showed any signs of being better than Jakub Stolarczyk or Mads Hermansen when he came in. He never really showed that same character. He was never as composed on the ball. Obviously, he's done really well at Preston, but he just, for whatever reason, he wasn't that good for us. So I think moving him on was the best decision to balance the wage books up a bit.
Yeah, brilliant. And then you saw Jamie Vardy's name at the bottom there. I mean, could we be seeing in the next couple of weeks, maybe, the return?
With John Rudkin, you never know. That's the thing. I mean, do I think it would be the right decision? Probably not. Purely because, I mean, he was £7 million in wages. we bought Mads for less than that, and his wages were less than that. So we can get another player. Like, we should have gone in for Kone. We should have pushed hard for Kone.
Yeah.
Don't know why we didn't, because we could have got him signed and paid just for Vardy's wages. So I don't think financially it would be sensible for us.
Yeah.
And towards
Okay.
the end of the season, he was still good, but he was losing his edge because he's obviously really old now. So you are going to lose your edge. But we need someone young that can come through and really challenge Jordan Ayew for that number 9 spot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, everybody above 40 listening to this, so you've just now called Jamie Vardy really old, just now screaming at the TVs. All right, brilliant. Next week, then, do join us as we look at the players coming in and get Freddie and the panel's views on all of that. Thank you very much for that, Freddie. Couple more quick items before we let you finish, of course. We are looking at the shirts this week across all our channels. So, what's your impressions of this effort this year? Clean, tidy, a fan or not?
I think I like it. The one thing I would say with the kit is I think white shorts would perhaps balance it better. Again, I'm not sure what's going on with the sponsor, but that's something completely different. I'd almost rather keep it sponsorless. I think it's better than what we've had in the past few years, but Adidas haven't really been the best for us the past few years. When you look at the other teams they've made kits for, and then you look at us, it's kind of a bit like, it's really underwhelming. So I think this year to actually have good kits is refreshing, but also it's going to make those FIFA career modes a lot better.
Well, you're the only team in the championship that still uses Adidas now. Everyone else has kind of moved away, so I think you're the only one of the 24 that has Adidas making its kits. So they've got no excuse really. But it's a fresh kit, isn't it? And it looks great, sponsorless, so perfect. Lastly, then, there's been accusations that the country's falling out of love with the Premier League a little bit. Obviously, you didn't have a good time last year, Freddie, watching it. I'm sure you didn't tune into matches very often. Do you think it's a lazy media point that we're getting lots more entertainment in the lower leagues? There's other sports which are growing in stature as well. That actually there's a bit of a shift change coming to the Premier League, or is it all nonsense?
I think it's not as strong as people think it is, but I think it would be better if it was as strong, because you've got your local clubs. Like if you live in Cornwall, you've got like Truro City, you've got places in London like Hornchurch, that those clubs are proper community clubs. They care about the community. They're local. They encourage you to watch the games. They've got free streams and radio broadcasts of their games, so you can actually watch them. And they give a lot back to the community. So I think seeing an increase in coverage of the lower leagues would benefit a lot of people. But also I think it might, to a point, give the Premier League a wake-up call eventually, if it got big enough, and sort of make them think we need to start making it more accessible and easier to watch. I think ditch the 3 p.m. blackout is a main point that people should be pushing for, because football should be free to watch. I don't know why it isn't.
No. Okay, let us know your comments below. Listen, Freddie, as a solo effort on your first round, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Great knowledge. Great knowledge there. So this is 20 minutes a week. There's longer podcasts. You can definitely go and listen to those that will do things a lot more depth, but we just put out there all the things that people are talking about Leicester and get our panel's reaction on it. And if you are a Leicester fan and watching this and would like to be involved in being one of the team, do drop us an email. The description contains the address you need to send that to. Right, Freddie, enjoy. Are you going to Charlton this weekend? Are you going to be heading to the Valley? It's a nice away trip.
I've got plans, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. So I won't be there, but hopefully we'll get down to one soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, should be an interesting game that, and they're not conceding many either. So we will. Should be a tough one for Leicester. Right, next week then we'll look back at Charlton. We'll also look back at some of the bad away kits that the Foxes have had, and where does the current one rank as well. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll hopefully see you as a subscriber next week. Thanks for watching.